what is this thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. Adam said, it's your fault. You gave her to me. And she said, it's the serpent's fault. Remember Flip Wilson? I think everybody here is old enough to remember Flip Wilson.
The devil made me do it.
The devil made me do it. It's not my fault. I would have never ate of that fruit if the devil didn't remind me on how good it was.
Like Ray saying, he prayed for an angel and the devil sent me.
He made me do it. It says, but this is when it gets real serious. Then the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and upon every beast, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. Now, I'm suggesting that possibly the serpent has changed its form on that day. Said he was subtle or subtle, deceptive. I'm going to tell you something. Beauty is deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this serpent looked like he does today. Because I'm going to tell you something. If a serpent come up to me and start talking, I'm getting out of there.
I'll make a new door.
On a few different occasions, I was walking in my backyard some years ago, and I was looking around pulling up weeds, and I went to take a step, and I looked down, and there was a yellow and brown snake about this big.
Oh,
Beautiful snake.
Yeah.
Yuck.
I don't like snakes, but it had a beautiful color. And I went to step on it, and I realized I find myself straddling it. And I'm like, I'm moving real fast. Got out of there. I went to go, my mother was living, I went to call my mom down to come look at it. By the time I got back, it had slithered under the gate, under the fence, and was gone. I talked to Tanya's cousin, and he said it was probably a corn snake. I looked it up, and that's what it was. It was a corn snake. But when I seen the coloration, it kind of looks like a copperhead. I know copperheads aren't, too many in Ohio, but I'm like, maybe it was. A few years later, I'm walking in the yard in a different location in the yard. I went to step down and almost stepped on it. Here I am straddling again, but this one must have been its baby because it was only about this big. I actually called in. I went downstairs, got an aquarium, called it up in there, put a lid on it, went inside to look it up, and it was a corn snake. I later found out that it's one of the favorite pets in the society that I could have taken it down to the pet shop and sold it, but I didn't. I let it go. Because I realized it wasn't going to hurt anybody. It keeps the mice down. Another day, right after that, I'm walking through the park praying, and I looked over a couple feet from me, there was a black snake rolled up sleeping.
Ooh.
I'm like, what are you trying to show me, God? Everywhere I go, there's snakes. There was like 3 snakes. These are a different time, but there was 3 snakes in just a few day period. Another time I'm walking up the steps, this is just a few years ago. I'm walking up the steps at the park, and I went to take a step, and there's a snake curled up sitting there. So I gingerly walked around. See, I don't like snakes.
You need a...
Somebody had a picture of a couple politicians on the Facebook today, and they said, just name a few things that you would trust more than these 2. And I was thinking a snake after it just bit me.
Snake, yeah, exactly.
I would trust a snake that just bit me more than those 2.
Yep.
Amen.
Yep.
But the point is, you can't trust a snake. Remember, was it last week I told the story about the man that was going on a long journey and he ran into a snake, and the snake said, could you please carry me to my destination?
Yeah.
He said, you'll bite me.
Yeah.
He said, no, but I promise you I won't bite you. So just take me to my destination. he picked him up and he carried him the long journey. And finally, when he set him down, the snake bit him. And he said, "You promised me you wouldn't bite me." He said, "You knew I was a snake when you picked me up."
Yep.
See, that's the nature of the snake. The nature of the snake is to bite. But see, at that day, the snake wasn't like that. The snake didn't have that nature. The snake, no doubt, had 4 legs. It no doubt had a beautiful, I don't know if it had skin or if it had fur or whatever, but it was beautiful. It was so beautiful that it was enticing to Eve. Didn't she just say that the serpent enticed me?
Yeah.
Something ugly. A snake can't entice you.
No.
Something beautiful can entice you.
Right.
But when God cursed the snake, his beauty was taken away.
It's made him.
Sounds like someone else we know. Doesn't the Bible say that Satan was the most beautiful angel in heaven?
Yep.
So you had pipes that played music and sung glorious worship songs to God. But now he's hideous and ugly. His beauty was taken away, just as the serpent who represents him. And he was taken away, and now he slithers on the ground and he eats dust. An old nasty snake. And I'm surprised at people who like to handle snakes, because it seems like there's a demonic spirit on them.
Yeah.
You ever notice people that like snakes?
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody, but the majority of the people that like to handle snakes, and they have snakes in their house, and most of those people are very dark.
Yeah.
I remember as a young man, I delivered pizzas, and I went to this house, and they had this huge aquarium with this huge snake in it, and everything was dark, and they were like kind of dark characters, and I mean, I was into some darkness at that time, but I was creeped out being in them, around these people.
Bet you was.
And this snake had a big old lump in it. I'm like, oh, that's a bunny rabbit. They had just fed this rabbit to this snake.
It was
You mean, Randy, you met those people. You probably were at the same house I was at.
a python.
But they're creepy. Amen? Demonic. There's evil spirits that are attached to those people. Amen? So he goes on, and listen to this now. And I said, now it's getting real. He curses the serpent. And he said that on your belly you shall eat dust of the rest of your life. For all the days of your life. And now in 15, this is one of my favorite verses of all time. Most people speak of John 3:16. I like Genesis 3:15 and 16. Excuse me. It says, "And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy feet, thy seed and her seed. And it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. And in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall have rule over thee." Genesis 3:15. It says that God would put enmity between the serpent and the seed of woman. How many of you know women don't have a seed?
That's right.
Right. We have eggs.
But she had one seed. Who was he?
Jesus.
Jesus. And the Lord showed me about, I don't know, when Brother Gary was pastoring on 6th, one day I was preaching and the Lord just gave me a revelation. The head was crushed by the bruising of the heel. It says actually where you see bruised,